The beauty of simplicity with Zenless Zone Zero. Gamers, today we're going to be reacting to Soul, talk about the beauty of simplicity with Zenless Zone Zero. I've been watching a couple of Soul's video, and honestly, they've been really good. So, guys, link for his stuff will be in the description down below. Go give him a sub. He's been great so far as the Zenless Zone Zero, what the fuck am I saying? Zenless Zone Zero content he's putting out. I haven't had access to any of the private test servers, anything like that, so I've been trying to watch other people and get like a good, I guess, idea on the game or whatnot. So yeah, check him out. Apparently, this is him going over an article talking about the combat in Zenless Zone Zero. So we're gonna react today, see what's going on. We have our chat's kind of more streaming late tonight, guys. Twitch.tv/, you two can't see me, but let's go ahead and hop into this video. Let me stop.
So I was just informed that there is a new Zenless Zone Zero article that we need to go over, and there was a lot more new information presented in it for us to go through it.
Hell yeah!
I can't wait to see what other information they have to talk about for the game with the producer and whoever's interviewing them. But nonetheless, let's get into this new article. It says, interview Hoyo versus action game Zenless Zone Zero adapt Street Fighter formula for genre newcomer.
Wait, Street Fighter formula? Okay. If it's wait, okay, now I'm not into fighting games, but I do know that didn't Street Fighter have like a very like easy like they have two different combat styles, right? Let me see. Oh, it's probably something to do with this then, like this like mechanic right here. I'm gonna let him explain it, okay? We're gonna get into the video here.
Fans. Hoyoverse is on the road from Genshin Impact, the open world adventure that puts its name on the map, to its latest entry, Honkai Star Rail.
We love Honkai Star Rail. HSR rise up
with a consistent, successful track record. The love isn't just reserved for.
Yeah, and I think, guys, that Zenless Zone Zero is going to be an absolute hit. Now, do I think it's going to perform as well as like the likes of Honkai Star Rail or even Genshin Impact, right? Genshin Impact. Probably not. I think it'll pop off the first like month, probably first 2 months. But I do think it'll be under the revenue of both Honkai Star Rail and ZZZ. Or what am I saying? I think it'll be under the revenue. What am I trying to fucking say? Okay. Anyway, sorry guys. I think it's gonna be under the revenue of the game called Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, okay? I think that's where it's going to be placed at. Anyways, we continue.
Our favorites, Honkai Impact 3rd, released before both titles, recently enjoyed a Part 2 revitalization, making the start of the second major story arc with new characters.
Is my quality off or... Oh, what the hell? My quality is hella off. Hey, yo, sorry about it, gamer. We fucked that one up.
User interface and more.
Okay.
These offerings work similar to a mini buffet spread, much like how the
mini
latter
buffet
brings variety to the table. Quite literally, these 4 games plus a 5th, Tears of Themis, are rooted in
okay, guys. Let's not talk about Tears of Themis, the forgotten child of Hoyoverse.
Different genres. Honkai Star Rail eschews the open world of Genshin Impact for turn-based mechanics.
Yeah, guys. Hey, guys, leave a like and subscribe on the video right now, gamers. Go ahead and do it.
3rd leans into the action RPG playstyle. In stark contrast, Tears of Themis features romance and sleuthing elements in a visual novel format. Traditionally of
but to be fair, the story mode for this is like a visual novel, right? Or like that's a comic book style, right? So maybe maybe they're taking like elements from the other game to this. I don't know.
Continues with its upcoming undertaking. Zenless Zone Zero is set to enter a hack and slash territory, inheriting the characteristics, flashiness of combo chains, dodging, parrying, and other classic elements for genre contemporaries like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. Decked out.
And that's my type of combat, right? I love combat like DMC. I never played Bayonetta, but I love combat like DMC. So that's why I absolutely can't wait for this game. I've been waiting for this game actually more than honestly, Honkai Star Rail for me, guys. I thought that Honkai Star Rail would be like a 2-week thing for me. I did not think it was going to turn into what it turned into and how good it is. So hopefully it's not the reverse, because I've been super hyped about Zenless Zone Zero since its announcement. And I was never hyped about Honkai Star Rail. I'm going to be keeping a 100p with you guys, okay? So hopefully it's not the reverse and then it ends up being Ash, right?
In a stylish coat of paint, it's familiar spectacle for action games enthusiasts, but carries a fresh and bold identity that immediately sets the urban fantasy apart from other Hoyoverse titles. It's actually kind of interesting that they don't consider it a action RPG. I think most people actually label it as an action RPG, and aren't hack and slash considered that? I'm kind of just rambling there, but it's good to see that Zenless people are talking about like the difference between Zenless and all of the other.
Yeah, I do think it does set itself apart. Actually, for me, right, Zenless Zone Zero's combat to me just looks like Honkai Impact content. but reskinned. That's the vibe that I get from it. It looks like Honkai Impact reskinned. That's what it looks like. I mean, yeah, Honkai Impact reskinned as far as combat goes, because that combat's very much so the same way. It's very much hack and slash. So I feel like it's very similar to that.
Games in general, because they are creating what they have been.
Well, I think, I don't know if I'm right in feeling this, even though they did release like the part 2 for Honkai Impact. I feel like the successor for Honkai Impact is just Honkai Star Rail, and this is like the actual successor for it. I don't know. I could be coping with that. Let me know in the comments down below.
Been saying for a while, a Hoyoverse of tackling different genres and just making a bunch of different games that people, no matter what they like, can enjoy. Set in a post-apocalyptic futuristic haven called New Eridu, it sees players taking on a new role of a proxy, a character who helps others explore hostile alternative dimensions called Hollows, and recruits new party members in the fight against the ethereal entities responsible for wiping out most of humanity. By combining the abilities of different characters, they will be able to deal greater damage and combos onto enemies. And as much as chain attacks are a core part of the action role-playing experience, they also play an equally important role, or even more, in fighting games. It's no coincidence the producer Jin Yu tapped into love of brawlish to flesh out the combat in Zenless Zone Zero, citing Street Fighter as a major influence.
Now, for me, right, how do you integrate Street Fighter, which is like a 2D fighter, into Zenless Zone Zero? I just don't quite understand how you implement fighting elements from Street Fighter to a hack and slash. But like I said, I don't play fighting games that much, so I mean, I'm way out of my element talking about it, but I just don't know how you could do it that effectively, right? I guess he's gonna go on to explain it, right?
I'm an avid fighting game player, so I actually learned quite a bit on the characters and their fighting styles. He shares in a roundtable interview with a select Southeast Asian media in Singapore. I think fighting games are excellent at conveying the dueling experience, so I created a process and method with great precision based on that mainly. I refer my ideas to the Street Fighter series.
If I may, Devil May Cry would be a better example. They have implemented the impact and dynamic system, so it feels like closer than Street Fighter. Yeah, it definitely feels a lot like Devil May Cry. I don't know how much it relates to the Street Fighter, right? So I created the process of, but he says here he created the process and method with great precision based on that. Mainly, I refer to my idea as a Street Fighter series. I mean, I guess maybe, right?
This is so cool. We just got in that last interview that the game was very much inspired by Street Fighter 6, but it's even cooler that the head producer, which we actually get to see for the first time, at least for me, that he's actually really big into fighting games. And if you guys know me, that is where I come from. I come from the fighting game
bro, the fighter.
And it's
bro,
one of
the
the
fighting
main reasons
games.
why I got into Zenless, because a lot of things that I love within fighting games actually feel present within the game, and it has my attracted attention for it. Unlike fighting.
So what feels interesting about it, I hope he goes into detail talking about like what the similarities are between fighting games. Like I said, the only fighting game that I've played was probably Dragon Ball FighterZ. And I maybe play that for like a day or two. I don't know. There's an old video on my channel playing the beta for it or some shit like that. But I don't really play fighting games, so I don't really see the crossover here. But maybe it's just my ignorance to not playing fighting games.
However, Hoyoverse is soon to be latest needs to tone down on its gameplay complexity. Similar to the company's other titles, it's built more for mainstream audience, which means the experience has to resonate with genre newcomers and first timers.
I think as well you have to appeal to a casual audience as well, so it can't be super complex. Like if we take Wuthering Waves Combat for example, Wuthering Waves Combat is a lot more complex than what I think Zenless Zone Zeros Combat is going to be. And with Hoyoverse playing to a more casual audience, I think we'll see a more casual fighting gameplay playstyle in Zenless Zone Zero than we will for something like Wuthering Waves, for example, or even something like Devil May Cry, right? It does have to appeal to the casual audience because that's like the broad audience they're trying to appeal to and get to actually play their game. So you have to make it super accessible for all players. Accessibility equals more players playing the game.
Accessibility is a priority, taking the form of various beginner-friendly combat elements, including on-screen prompts to switch out to another party member and hitting a quicker time event QTE to trigger a chain attack.
Now, let me be honest with you guys. I don't consider the swapping to another party member a quick time event. That shit doesn't disappear for like 7 seconds, it looks like. It's on the screen for like 10 seconds. If you're calling that a quick time event, bro, what the? I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Don't agree with this statement of saying, like, unlike fighting games, Hoyoverse needs to tone down its gameplay complexity. I don't know if they're saying like Zenless still needs to tone down its complexity, or that they've done that unlike fighting games, because there has been a lot of fighting games that have toned down the complexity of how they work.
Yeah.
And that's why Zenless Zone Zero isn't a really big issue for me, because it reminds me of something like a Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, where it's pretty simple to pick up, and I think that is one of the primary fighting games I would suggest for anybody that's trying to get into the genre for the first time. But fighting games have always been striving to improve and make things a lot easier for newcomers to get into.
Yeah, I think the more accessibility equals more people playing the game, and I do not think they need to tone down Zenless Zone's combat at all. I do think it's at a pretty decent place right now. I think they could probably even add a little bit more complexity to the combat. Like, I know, for example, right, I watched one of Soul's video. If you're watching this, Soul, I watched one of your other videos where you talked about some of the things you want to see change in Zenless Zone Zero, with the fact of you being able to have more control over the QTEs and actually figure out when you activate it, because now in the game, when you go through a combo, it automatically puts a QTE on the screen. I feel like they need to add stuff like that back into the game. I feel like things like that will make, I guess a more hardcore audience want to play the game, because there is a little bit more complexity. It gives a little bit more substance to the combat. So I agree. I don't think they need to tone it down at all. I actually think they need to maybe knock it up just a little bit. That's my opinion on that, though. Yeah, I agree. I don't think gacha game genre is where you should appeal to the niche audience. In fact, you want to appeal to the broad audience. Exactly, but Hoyoverse already does that very, very well. All of their games appeal to a very broad audience and a very, just like, I guess, casual player base, right? They want to appeal to the most people possible so they get the most people playing the game. Like Genshin Impact, right? Genshin Impact is a very casual game. They don't really put much thought into the in-game there. Whereas with Honkai Star, I feel like Honkai Star Rail is like the perfect example of this. Now, it might be because Honkai Star Rail is like already, I guess, inherently like a casual game because it's turn-based, so you're not having to actively play it the whole time, whereas something with like Genshin, right, you're having to actively play the game the whole time. I feel like Zenless Zone Zero is kind of a mix between that, because I feel like it's a mix between Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact in terms of, like, I guess you're on time playing the game, right, your active time playing the game. That's how I feel what it is right now. Call me on, I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong on that, but like I said, that's what it looks like to me. I haven't played it, so whatever.
And it just feels no different here with ZZZ though. To build up confidence in players, the team has established a progressive plan that focuses on rewarding them during different stages of learning curve. The first step involves mastering the basic of dodging and attacking, followed by chain and stun attacks. Defense is next, featuring the special perfect assist mechanic, which triggers when the agents are switched right before a gold flashing enemy attack. Doing so consumes an assist point used to activate a defensive or evasive attack. These mechanics can be tested against the first boss, presenting the opportunity to further grasp and perfect them. Yeah, but this is what's really good about Zenless, is that it's such a active and retroactive, that might be the right word. It's such an active game to get into, because it helps you understand the combat so easily with a lot of introductory stuff within the game, especially within story mode, and even when you get a chance to play in training mode. The only thing with Zenless currently, in my opinion, is that they just need to amp up the difficulty for newer content within the game once you get towards endgame, so there's much more complexity for players that want it. At the heart,
I agree with that as well. I think, like I said before, I do think it needs to be amped up some more. Now, as far as what you said about the active, like playing, like it's a more active game, I think it's less active than Genshin Impact. Not to say like it's a not active game, because when you're in combat, that shit is popping off all the time. Whereas I feel like with Genshin, maybe it's just the time consumption, right? Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. You have to put a lot more time into like games like Genshin and games like Wuwa, right? Exploring the world and like finding things within the world, especially like eco farming and stuff like that. Whereas you really don't have to do that with Zenless as much, as far as from what I've seen anyways. You kind of just pop into like a mission, fight, and then it pops off for that second. You get your dopamine rush, and then you can kind of set it down and do whatever, right? Whereas with other games, it's kind of hard to set it down. I don't know. That's my take on it.
part of the design philosophy lies simplicity. After all, beauty can be found in the uncomplicated.
Exactly, I agree.
An ideology that Lee subscribes to, which I agree. The producer is quick to rebuff preconceived notion that depth equates to appeal, highlighting the game's charm stems from its straightforward nature. I don't know how I feel about this statement. I feel like that depth doesn't maybe not depth doesn't equate to appeal, but depth adds an extra layer of enjoyment for people who wants it. To me, complexity.
I agree. I think depth in combat can add that extra enjoyment, but it can also add a barrier of entry if you have too much depth, because then people will feel like This is a lot to get into. I think that's what they're trying to avoid. I feel like a lot of people might think, oh, I'm getting myself way in over my head if the depth is too much. If the combat's too deep, then I think you'll get a lot of players like that, right? But I'm not saying that I don't want it to be more, though, because I definitely do want it to be more than what it currently is.
It doesn't determine what is interesting. For example, just because the Super Mario games are simple run or jump buttons, it doesn't mean that they aren't fun, he says. I remember a saying from Nintendo that I resonate with, something along the lines of using fewer buttons to bring out more joy in players, so the game is categorized as not overly complex to present a charming experience for all.
Okay, so one thing I want to put on this, there's a big difference between a Super Mario game and a gacha game, right? A gacha game is like a live service game. With Mario, you play it until you beat it, right? You don't really beat gacha games. You continually play them through updates. So if the combat is not that deep, or if things are not, don't have some sense of complexity to them, people are going to get bored really quick, right? Now, not to say there's not the select few that go in and do speed running and stuff like that and just play it every day of their life, but I'm saying the broad majority of people are just going to get bored if it's the same exact thing with a really simple tune to it. That's just my take on it. Let's see what Soul has to say here.
I can agree with this. There should be essentially somewhat of a balance of there being complexity and there not being too much complexity for a game for people to enjoy. What that means is that for instance, like fighting games, they do have a level of depth that a lot of people do enjoy, but it's a subnet of people in comparison to the large majority, because having too much can be a little bit too difficult. But I think comes a point when it comes to certain things, like for hack and slashes, action games, and fighting games, that if there's a little too little, then it makes the game feel a bit stagnant when there should be other elements to bring it out. That doesn't mean
agree. I 100% agree with that. It will feel really stagnant if it's too shallow, especially with it being a hack and slash, because you don't have like the element of, I guess, like you already know what the enemies are gonna do, right? Like after you've played the game enough, you know exactly how the enemies are gonna do. The thing with fighting games though is like people are all gonna have different play styles, so you always have something unique. Even if like the combat's not that deep in a fighting game, there is something different than someone can throw at you, right? I guess the most deep that I got into a fighting game was Naruto Ninja Storm 4, and the combat system for that's really not that deep, but everyone had like a kind of different playstyle, right? Which always kept the game refreshing to me, right? Now, like with hack and slashes, like you said, you can't have them too simple.
Veterans are left out of the equation. Zenless Zone Zero promises combat challenges for those looking to test their mettle, offering high difficult levels or a hard mode with faster, stronger, and tankier enemies. Reaction time will be the name of the game as feint attacks become a constant.
Now, what I think Zenless Zone needs to do as far as their enemies go, I don't think they just need to make them faster, stronger, and tankier, because it's just like basically spending you more time in the event. I believe they need more complex movesets to throw the people off and have them learn new things, right? More punishes and stuff like that.
Ooh, I don't think they ever mentioned feint attacks, or do I remember feint attacks being in any of the bosses and stuff in the beta? If there is going to be content that again amplifies this combat challenges and having this faster, stronger, and tankier enemies, if that what he means, like more stuff in the future to improve upon that, then I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for it too, as long as they can give us a more complex, like, I guess, enemy playstyle, right? Or if the enemy's like doing like different attacks and more feint attacks, like it said here. I just want a more complex moveset, I guess, for the enemies, rather than them just becoming faster and tankier, because they're just gonna be doing the same moves but a little bit faster. And then being tankier just makes the battle take longer, which can feel kind of unfulfilling, especially if you're just sitting there for 5 minutes. Well, I used to kill this boss with this. They need more movesets, but I assume that they can do it. They've done like pretty good things as far as like the enemy types in Honkai Star Rail. I get it, it's a completely different game. It's a turn-based game, right? But they have had enough like new enemies in Honkai Star Rail that have enough different movesets to make it interesting every time MOC gets reset, or Apocalyptic Shadow now, or things even like Pure Fiction, right?
That essentially resolves the issue that I have with the game, which it doesn't really deter me from wanting to enjoy the game, but it just will make the game a lot more fun for me in the long run, and I believe other players as well. Be it casual or hardcore, players can bring along another companion to the battlefield on top of their 3 main party. Enter the Bang Boo, adorable intelligent device unique to new Eridu that lend aid to daily operations, each boosting their own skill kit and distinctive appearances, designed to reflect the nature of their abilities such as healing, elemental attacks, or offensive capabilities. Their looks can be easily matched to their functions, which is true. Bang boos are really cool. They just need to do a little bit more on the field is all.
Yeah, I like the bang boos. They're really cute. I like them a lot.
Just the detail is a feature that fans can expect from Zenless Zone Zero in spades, and not just for character designs. Citing Vanillaware's Odin Sphere and
I have no clue what that is, brother.
As a source of inspiration, Lee shares how both of the legacies have blended into the upcoming urban fantasy RPG. To me, these titles are great influence as they have rich details and the principle of showing respect to every aspect of the game, which is touching. Muses the producer. We did something similar for every action feedback in the game. For the art details in the inner city or in New Eridu, you'll find that we put a lot of details in the game, and it's something that I was inspired by Vanillaware. It, as they say, game recognized game. Wow, the producer of ZZZ is actually somebody I really much enjoy. He enjoys a lot of things that I like about video games. And him being a fighting game player just adds on to my enjoyment of hearing him talk about the game and what inspires him to make the game the way that it is. I'm really excited for ZZZ. I know people have their issues with it or like their expectations for it, and some of the things that they don't like about it and love with the game. And I'm going to talk about more of that in 2 upcoming videos that I have in the works. But I think the game is going in a good light. If any of this here tells us about the future of...
I think Zenless Zone Zero, for me personally, is probably going to be a really good game. It's not the perfect game for me because it's more active, right? And I just don't have a lot of time during my day to do things. Honkai Star Rail, on paper, is technically the perfect game for me because I really don't have to do much with the game. I just hit the fun button and let it go, and it does its thing and gets rewards for me without having to actually put my hands on the game that much. Or do the boring stuff anyways. I can just do that off screen and just hit the fun button and it does it. So cool. Obviously Zenless Zone Zero is not going to have that, but I do think it's going to, I guess, call for like a less time investment for me, right? To have, I guess, the same amount of progression as you would in other games. Oh, play the video.
It seems like they are listening to us. They have feedback and they are improving upon the things that we're requesting, and that's all that we can really ask for. I think the game has a very strong basis, even though people try to knock the basis of it. I think that what they have so far, the bones of it, is a really good structure, and all they have to do is improve upon it and amplify it, and I'm pretty sure they'll do that in due time. But I don't want to hold you guys up any longer. This is
you're fine, brother.
To talk about regarding this interview.
Hold us up for longer.
I do have future content ready for you guys to roll.
Stretch the video out to 13 minutes so my reaction can be
out
10 more minutes.
This has been great reading. I love reading these interviews and all of these articles and stuff. So hopefully we get more of these, and hopefully I'll try to be more on time with them. I was on time with the last one, but I just missed out on this one. So hopefully I get this to you guys out really soon, and I hope you guys enjoy. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new.
Yes, sir.
And also remember to believe in you that believes in yourself. I'll see you guys in.
Yes, sir. Love the
next one.
Yep, love the energy gamer. Yo, guys, go subscribe to Soul. Great video. He seemed like a really good content creator for Zenless Zone Zero. I've been watching a couple of his videos. Really good. Go subscribe to him, gamers. What do you guys think? Do you think the combat of Zenless Zone Zero is going to be too simplistic? Do you think it's deep enough? Do you think it needs more improvement? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyways, gamers, that's going to do it for our little reaction here. I have more reactions to do tonight, but you won't see that in this video. Anyways, guys, bye. See you later. Subscribe.